Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is Tuesday, September the 27th, now going into Wednesday, September 28th, 2011, another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. So glad you can be with us here tonight for another live edition of the show. My website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. There at the website, you can find the link to listen live. You can always take that link and say, hey, here's somebody else I know that is a possible late-night Moonbat candidate. You're up. Hey, are you listening to George Snorri? Are they talking about chupacabras and fucking skunk apes and shit like that? Well, listen to this instead. Here you go. Try it sometime. Might be surprised. But you can find the links to listen to the stream there. There's always stuff streaming on there. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We got all kinds of stuff constantly, day and night. The weird stuff, new stuff, old stuff. All kinds of stuff there on the website, theglobalreality.com. My documentary films are up there. You can watch them for free. And we've got DVDs you can buy up there. We've got all kinds of stuff up there as well for the different clips from the show that you can go through, spread those around, theglobalreality.com. My name is Josh Reeves. I'm your host, and we're going to be going on another late-night info journey here for you this evening. A gigantic stack of news and information to get into, and we're going to get into a lot of news. We'd love to have emails from you to read. We've got some of those that have been stacked up, so we're going to get into those, get into the mailbag tonight. Global Reality Show at gmail.com. That's Global Reality Show at gmail.com. If you want to send an email in during the broadcast tonight for me to read on air, then you can do that. Global Reality Show at gmail.com. No show last night. There was really, it was kind of one of those days where I knew that whatever I was going to be talking about Monday was probably all there was going to be able to talk about, the next day too. So again, it's kind of one of those situations where I was like, well, it's going to be one of these days this week. There probably wasn't going to be a show. And yeah, I was exactly right. Today, it's amazing. Today we would have had, pretty much with the exception of a few news stories I picked up today. We've even got some from last week I've got to get into that I just fucking missed and, forgot about. I had a crazy week over the past week and stuff, working on the film, and then I went into the studio with Demigods, did some recording on Friday. Saturday I had to go. I drive 3.5 hours out of town, go to a family reunion thing in East Texas to go see family and see my dad's monument at his gravestone for the first time there. It's an awesome, amazing thing. And got back in town Sunday night, and boy, I was just whooped yesterday. So we are live here with you tonight. Our fundraiser for our 4-year anniversary, we have the official last day of that was Sunday. some people were confused. I got some emails, people saying, well, I heard you say it was ending Sunday, but the shipping banner thing itself says October 1st. Well, I did that for two reasons. One, because I kind of figured I was trying not to have to put up two shipping banners for the month, even though it looks like I'm probably going to have to do that anyway. But we were having that so we could raise funds to buy, new equipment for the show and to make the films with. We didn't reach our goal, but now we have a situation where, Saturday's the first, so now this is our fundraising week for the bills for the month. So we have to have that in 600 by Saturday. So some people said, hey, as I said, I typed in the chat room that we didn't meet our goal, and somebody said, oh, well, got people emailing, you should just leave it up, for shits and giggles. So, okay, I will do that. I'll leave it up for shits and giggles. But our goal for the week is raising the fundraiser to pay the bills for the month. So 600 is our goal to meet by Saturday. And if anybody wants to help us reach the rest of the way so we can be able to get a computer to continue making films, you can do that there. If not, this is CGR Volume 2 is going to be my last film. My computer is it's just on its last leg. I mean, it's like 4 years old, and made two films on this thing already, and it's it was good the first go around, but now my software is updated, but the computer's not caught up with it, so I'm running into issues there. I can't even. That's why I didn't have any guests on. I didn't even tell you guys that. That's why I didn't have any guests on last week for the and why I didn't have as many shows for the anniversary week. Was because Skype won't even work on it's so fucked, man. I hate to get up here and rant about techno bullshit, but I feel I have to say this because it really affected my week last week. So I should tell you about it. But man, Skype is such a fucking NSA piece of spyware. I saw Chris Everard on Facebook the other day promoting Skype, saying it's good and telling people to use it. I just responded and put links to, the 500 articles there are out there about it being a piece of NSA backdoor spyware. And because it is. Anyway, a couple of months ago when I had this meeting for this TV thing that they're considering having me on, I wasn't aware that it was a video conference. I thought it was just going to be an audio conference. And what happens is I would Sky was working perfectly fine. They did an update, and something about the update didn't jive with the 64-bit operating systems, and they haven't, as far as what I can find, offered any sort of a fix to it. Because what happens is it just crashes, and there's nothing you can do to crash it to keep it from crashing. You can completely uninstall it, reinstall it, does the same thing over again. So what I did was I reverted back to an older version of Skype. And when I did that, it worked fucking fantastic. Worked perfect, right? But what happens is every time you close out of it, because, I like to keep it closed out because I've got, video editors and audio editors up. This stuff takes up all the juice, all the processing power, all the RAM that my computer will push. So I can't have, 500 browser tabs open, can't have any browsers open or anything while I'm working on films and doing that kind of stuff. And, so I'm sitting here, working on this, and Skype is running in the background. So I turn it off, and then when I go to turn it back on, it goes to start installing the new update automatically. And when I close out of it, it corrupts the install. Then we're back at square one with no working Skype, and it does that every time. So I've wiped this computer 4 or 5 times. I put new OSs on it, completely started over from scratch. I've replaced the power supply, 2 fans. None of the drives, all the drives died in it. None of the disk drives work in it. If I want to burn something, I have to bounce down to a zip drive and take it to another computer to be able to burn anything on a disk, because when the disk drives died in this thing, and I went and got another one and put another one in it, it was some small form factor Dell POS, and they don't make a internal drive that's small enough to fit in this case for any price anywhere, because it was some, Dell made POS. I don't know, man. Christ. I got the thing in 2008 and February 2008. What happened was that Dell had priced their dual core systems, their quad core systems, at the price of dual core. So I was able to get a, super high powered system for like, $400. But now, I mean, this, it's antiquated now, but, yeah, Skype, I mean, Skype's just terrible, but it's like your only option for, when you want to have guests on that are in weird different countries, and, it's cheap. You can pay like $10 a month and get unlimited stuff. But man, I tell you what, I've had nothing but problems with it. Hacks and viruses coming in through that thing. I don't know. I don't trust it. It seems to be the preferred thing to use in the truth movement too. I don't know. It seems like all these hosts, man, I don't know what it is. All these, they say they're obsessed with Skype. Like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I used to know hosts who would just sit around for hours endlessly. I never understood that. I get on and do my show. I'm gone doing work the rest of the day. I don't have time to sit around and, have chatty Cathy Skype conferences with a bunch of other, radio hosts and have a fucking circle jerk on Skype all night. I got work to do. Got more research to do. That's what you should be doing. But almost every host I knew, especially when I was on Oracle, they'd be chatty Cathying it up on like every night, just like little girls. I don't know what it is. They're just obsessed with Skype. Like Christ, get a tattoo it on your fucking forehead, put a logo on your car or something if you love it that much. Fuck. I mean, it's just like this is how they figured out how to, I mean, that they can go in through any back door on Skype and monitor anything anybody's doing. So what happens when, you go on some radio network and you make friends with this radio host over here and this radio host over there, and, pretty soon you got all these people on your Skype list. How do you know not one of those people there is not a Fed? How do you know one of those people right there is not a spook who has access to people who have access to the means to be able to go zip right in the back door and right over your computer because, hey, you're on your friends list, right? You made a connection there. It's not hard, people. And, I've been real weary of that stuff for a long time, but I've had real weird problems going on with Skype and my computer. And, so that's why we didn't have any guests on last week, but, please support us if you can, legaloverrowdy.com. Let's get into some emails tonight. Let's see how it's been a while. Let's see what kind of emails we've got here tonight. By the way, there's a guy who put up the audiobook of The Lost Book of Enki. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. There was one link I originally put out first, and it was just subsequently deleted because it got messed up or something. So he uploaded it again and sent it to me, so I'll drop it in the chat room right now. That's The Lost Book of Enki, me reading The Lost Book of Enki, made into audiobook form, so you can download that, send that around. Replay that places, and it's all edited down in a, book on tape format. So that's pretty cool. So thanks to Jamie for doing that for us, one of our listeners. Let's see. Trying to see if I read these last week's or not. Here's one. This is from Brenda. She says, Josh, I have to share this with you. You often talk about synchronicity on your show, and I know exactly what that is. Here's my story. On 3 separate occasions, I've seen UFOs, and I've always believed we are not alone on this planet. These sightings were undeniable and were witnessed by others with me. During one of my meditation sessions, I was taken to the planet Mars. This happened in the early 1980s, and at that time, I didn't think about Mars or any other planet being inhabitable except Earth. While on Mars, I was taken to a tunnel where I boarded some sort of train transport that went through an underground tunnel. I was told to me that the atmosphere was unsuitable to live on the surface and the inhabitants had to live under the surface. I hope this doesn't sound crazy to you. No, it doesn't. I mean, look at what's said in the Sumerian text about Mars. Listen to my reading of Lost Book Yankee. If you just start listening, Brenda, go back and listen to that, especially the beginning parts of it. And it's no, I don't. I learned a long time ago not to when somebody offers to tell you something like this, like you're doing. The moment that you think that something's not possible, they've got you. Now that doesn't mean go around believing every half-cocked fucking conspiracy theory or whatever else you hear with no info. I mean, make sure you got some facts and some something to back it up with. Be able to tie it all together, but I certainly have learned not to think that say anything sounds crazy, because there are a lot of things that I now believe are an absolute fact that 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I said was total fucking be out of your mind to believe that. I was told that the Martians had been there for thousands of years. I don't remember much else. Yeah, you ever see that movie Mission to Mars? Kind of a shitty movie, but watch the shitty movie all the way to get to the end, because the end is fucking the money shot. If you haven't seen that movie, Mission to Mars, Brent, it's got Lieutenant Dan in it. Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. Gary Sinise. And, the movie's pretty shitty, but it's worth it. The money shot's at the very end of the movie. And, I don't know, just something about what you're talking about here and thinking about that movie, Brenda. I was like, if you haven't seen that, watch that, Brenda. Or if you have seen it, go back and watch the end of it. You might, I don't know, you might get something out of it. I don't remember much else about the meditation vision. Once I arrived in the underground station, I am not allowed to remember it right now. I understand that too. Memory blocks, things like that. But there are different things you can do to bring those things out. If you said you're into meditation, there are meditations you can do. I know for a fact to do that. I have to ask my sister about it. I think she knows more about that than I do. But I'm pretty sure that there are. I started meditation about 12, 13 years ago. But I haven't got into the deeper aspects of Kundalini or yoga or any of that stuff. There's so much of that. But I have a deep and profound respect for the people that do. I have read in 3 different books about the Mars underground living quarters. The most concise description is what I saw transcribed in The Secret History of the Extraterrestrials by Lynn Katzen. The book talks about a joint human-Martian underground city with a large number of residents from Earth. I've only told this to one other person who I knew would believe me, and actually I didn't believe it myself until now. Lessons learned. Number 1, never doubt what I know to be true. Number 2, ask and it shall be given. Number 3, seek and you shall find. And number 4, synchronicity is real. May you be blessed tremendously in your endeavors. Your show was worth every bit of your efforts, and you are doing a great job, Josh. Don't be discouraged when the cash is not flowing to you as you think it should be. You will have all that you need to get the job done. You are being true to your calling, and that is all that matters. I hardly get any sleep waking up listening to your broadcast each morning. I'm on the East Coast, and at 1 a.m. I check in to see if you're ready. When I hear the music, I know it won't be long before the show most times. You just keep on doing what you're doing. It's going to be all right. Sincerely, the Lurkin' Granny. That is the most rad name I have ever heard in my life. The Lurkin' Granny. You get props for that one, Brenda, a.k.a. the Lurkin' Granny. Just that name alone is the shit. So you're all right in my book just for that name, the Lurkin' Granny. I just get this this picture of my grandmother, creeping around behind me. Josh, what are you doing over there, honey? You all right, baby? Okay. Checking to make sure I'm all right, Oh, I'm fine. Go away. Shit. Fuck. I'm okay. Oh, that's great stuff. Thank you so much, Brenda. That's a great email. Oh man, you guys are the shit. I love my listeners. let's see what else we have in the bag tonight. This is from Paul. Paul says, hi, I want to thank you for your documentary. Wow, please take the time and look at the Council of Trent. I understand how you feel about Zechariah Sitchin. Please YouTube this guy, Jonathan Gray. Zechariah Sitchin is a fraud proved by Sumerian dictionaries. Also, SitchinIsWrong.com. Yeah, I get these messages from people. Sitchin wrong every other week. I'm aware of the website. I covered the Sitchin thing extensively last week. I answered those questions. I've never been a big Sitchin fan. I just decided to read the book on air because I thought it would be interesting terminology. But then, I really didn't give the guy. I always had heard from a lot of people he was CIA and all this other stuff, and then it was brought to my attention that his books were classified as fiction. And then you realize he had all these New York Times bestsellers. This guy made millions of dollars, but he never once stood up and tried to say that this was not fiction, because I remember, hearing about Sitchin stuff and going to the bookstore when I didn't know a lot of this info, and going and seeing his books and not picking them up because they were in fiction. I can remember having that experience several times in bookstores. So that's how I know for a fact that's what they did. And he was privy to that and a part of that. And so, for that, and that's enough for me. But I think that's probably the extent of what he was guilty of. I mean, I looked at 3 or 4 different scholarly interpretations of the Sumerian text and compared them with 5 or 6 different Zechariah Sitchin works, and they're almost word for word. Little insignificant things. But the fact of the matter is that as long as they can keep people, ignorant to the fact that these tablets and these texts even exist, and keep people ignorant to the fact that what would be on any shadow of a doubt, it's admitted the first thing we did was go after these things. We used 9/11 to justify it. And most of the Western world is asleep about that. But it's the truth. So, you can have problems with Sitchin, and that's fine. But that's what he's there to do. He is there so that we argue all day long about him and whether or not he's correct or whether he's not correct, so that we never have a conversation about why these tablets were ground into the ground by forces when they set up their base camp there on the ruins of the palace of Nebuchadnezzar that Saddam Hussein was getting ready to rebuild, because he called himself the reincarnation of King Nebuchadnezzar. Let me ask you something. You ever heard of King Darius in Iran? My God, there's another Anunnaki thing. This fucking huge. I mean, it looks like it's laser etched. It's fucking signed at the bottom by Queen Semiramis to Zeus, which I think is like Inanna and Enki. I know Zeus and Enki are the same. Or there's some, bloodline descendant, but that's total Merovingian. It's a pre-Merovingian stuff. King Darius conquered Babylon, killed 3,000 Babylonians. Darius was the bloodline precursor that spawned Merovingius Merovi and the Merovingian bloodline on and on after that. The Bush family is a part of that bloodline. All the other clowns, Obama, all these other clowns are all a part of that bloodline. Don't you think it's interesting that Saddam Hussein called himself the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar? Was rebuilding his palace there? And starting to have, with a new 21st century technological context for what these texts were talking about, starting to utilize some technology that was left there. Boom, 9/11 happens. They tell us it's bin Laden, and then they tell us Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. We go in there, but see, they didn't necessarily lie. It wasn't that they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. It was that they lied about what kind of weapons those are. Those were this ancient alien technology there that they in the Middle East. So the point of the matter is, I'm just not interested in getting into any more, debates or flame wars over Zechariah Sitchin. I've never promoted his work per se. I've simply wanted to look at it because in my experience of being in the truth community and involved in radio and all this stuff for years and years and years, I've interacted with a lot of different hosts, a lot of different researchers. And the consensus that I've always gotten from all of them is that Zachariah Sitchin is a Fed or hoax or fraud. No, it's all bullshit and blah, 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 this and the other. But never any solid, concrete evidence. Never any examples. Okay, well, show me why. Okay, this, that, and the other. But once I found out what was really going on there and that these Sumerian texts do exist, and especially after reading William Bramley's The Gods of Eden as well, finding out just who this priest class is, the priest class that controls the Council for National Policy, the Jesuit order that controls the John Birch Society, and this whole new right in America that includes the Tea Party and the Truth Movement, and the Alex Jones, InfoWars, We Are Change, that whole op. The reasoning why this was such a Fatima put on this information concerning extraterrestrials, or anytime you bring up anything, man, it's just, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. That's all due to Alex Jones. He's the one that got everybody doing that. Before Alex Jones, it was okay to research everything. Alex Jones came along and he started beating his listeners over the head with every show. Oh, folks, we don't get into green aliens and the Bureau, and we don't get all this stuff here, folks. I stick to the documents, folks. I stick to what I can prove. They're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines, folks. And the bankers are running everything, and Obama's a slick pimp, and you don't need to worry about little green men on Mars, folks. You don't need to worry about the Anunnaki or Vatican assassins running around up Charlie Sheen's ass on his hernia, because I've seen it. You don't have to worry about all that. Worry about the bankers, folks. Oh, man. Let's see what else we got in the bag tonight. Oh, man. I'm going to talk about this bullshit Occupy the Fed stuff. God. My goodness. Have you guys ever, they're really going forward with this, aren't they? This is the first opening salvo, isn't it? The stage revolution. You guys already noticed all the Hot Topic Gap shopping hipsters already jumping on board with this? Man, I have. God damn, people, I've seen people that would, I've tried to drag kicking and screaming into info, or, let's occupy the Fed, let's get into that because it's socially acceptable, and yeah, it's cool, it's underground, it's hip, and Michael Moore's behind it, woohoo. It just reeks. You can just tell when these things are being engineered. And they've engineered this entire thing to draw people out and to get people to willfully identify themselves so they can start cracking down on dissidents. Don't believe me? All right, well, I'm going to have to pull a Jones on you here on this one. Folks, we got the documents, folks. Only with me, they're not secret. You actually can see the documents. I will let you see them. Jones always does it. Folks, I got the secret documents, but you guys aren't allowed to see them. These are for InfoWars people only. Aaron Dyke's allowed to look at them as long as he's bringing me enchiladas tonight. That's all that matters. Oh, where'd they go? I love when that happens. Here it is. Sentiment analysis and social media monitoring. So they have now, the Federal Reserve has now, there's documentation here, and the Federal Reserve is now keeping track of all activity, all speech, all Facebook posts, MySpace, all social media, everything, all chatter concerning the Federal Reserve. It's now being monitored in real time, and they're going to assess this information and keep it all in massive databases. They've admitted to it. I wasn't joking. I'm making it. I'm fine. We got the documents, folks. But there it is, right there. There's that scribed link. That's they're openly admitting there that all chatter concerning this is going to be monitored. This is the first opening wave of this. This is being used to identify. They're going to have an event in Dallas, October 6th at the Federal Reserve. Wonder if Jonesy will show up and with his illegal bullhorn again Man, that to me, that was my. Everybody has their definitive moment when they knew that Jonesy is a fucking complete plant fed spook, whatever you want to call it, tool. But for me, it's one of those things where when it happens on your turf, or you're familiar with the rules, that's how you can really tell the best frauds. And I worked for years, in the 9/11 Truth community, really helped found the 9/11 Truth community in Dallas here, back 2006, 2007. And we used to do monthly street actions at Dealey Plaza here in Dallas, where Kennedy was assassinated, of course. Also was the site of the first ever Masonic Lodge in the entire state of Texas. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah. First ever Masonic Lodge in the entire state of Texas was located in Dealey Plaza. Coincidentally, Alex Jones's relative, Anson Jones, was the master mason of that lodge. Yeah, didn't know that? Yeah, that'll be in Secret Right Volume 2, by the way. Yeah. Well, that just doesn't look good, does it? I mean, Jones connected to all these John Birch Society Jesuits, and then boom, we got John Birch Society Jesuits all up in the Kennedy assassination with what was the secret right at that time, more secretive, the precursor to that group, Suite 8, the Suite 8F group. Oh yeah, it's getting real interesting now. Real interesting now. I had to drop that, man. I was trying to save that one for the film, but I got to let a few things drop, and that's one of them. But I mean, wrap it up, dude. I mean, how many connections have we already seen to the CMP fucks, to the Kennedy assassination and the Jesuits and the Knights of Malta, Alan Dulles, Richard Dulles, all the Warren Commission guys, all Knights of Malta, all the CIA, they were all, what was it, ONI and all that stuff before that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see what else we have. Sorry, here, I'm going through my bag. Oh, what else? This says, hey, Josh, oh my God, I so loved your show from the Lost Book of Enki. I listened to the whole series and was just simply in awe of the whole damn thing. I especially liked your commentaries on spreading the seed into the womb. Pouring. No, it's pouring. Not spreading. Pouring the semen into the womb.
Pouring the semen into the womb. Yes. That's my favorite thing to do. My name's Enki, and I approve of this message.
Anyhow, I really got into your show, and now I'm addicted. Thanks a lot. And Christ. It's not like I put a needle in your arm or something, dude. I started listening to your show. Oh, it's great. I love it. Yeah, love the show. Woo, it's great. Now I'm addicted. Thanks a lot, cocksucker. The end. It does seem that way, though, man. Sometimes, like, I want to have a show. There have been people fucking freaking out, dude. They're going to the chat room. They'll be having DTs and shit. Fucking. It's like, wow. I'm glad I have that effect. I just could turn that into, computers and Federal Reserve notes. I'd be all good to go. Oh, such is life, though. Here's one from George. George says, hey, Josh, just had a thought. I've heard from people like Max Egan that energy surrounds all of us. I'm sure that's true. We just can't sense it. When we are stressed in a crisis, though when someone we love is in imminent danger of death or serious injury, it seems we're able to channel the surrounding energy to perform amazing feats of strength like women lifting cars. Yeah, that's from the DMT, buddy. That's what that is. That's DMT, dimethyltryptamine. It's produced by your pineal gland. Your third eye. That's it's the most powerful hallucinogenic drug on the face of the planet. We're all holding, baby. All of us. It's found in 99% of everything on this planet. And it is the gateway, it is the portal to the spirit world, to the other dimensions, the non-material dimensions. And that's what that's when that happens. The superhuman feats of that time, that's what that comes from. It's a massive, massive DMT secretion in floods. Rick Strassman talks about that in his book, DMT, the spirit molecule. If you haven't read that, it comes highly suggested for me. And they don't have as much testosterone as we do. Just wondering if this was what Tesla was really on to, like a Green Lantern type deal. It very well could have been. Tesla could have very well been on to, and probably, especially with magnetics, he was onto that, and he was onto frequencies and all that stuff. So that would ultimately lead you, I think, to understanding that frequencies, because that's what meditation and chanting and all that stuff is. Raising the vibrations and the frequencies and making them, your spirit and your material body resonate at alternating frequencies simultaneously that create a unison and a harmony. You know, like a harmony on a vocal harmony or a guitar harmony, you know. Think about like, you know, an Iron Maiden, dual solo or something. That's what happens with these frequencies do. They cause your non-material body, your soul, their energy, and your physical material body to resonate in different frequencies, Fibonacci numbers. And then that's where you go into transcendental states, DMT secretion. You can go into other altered states of consciousness, such as astral travel, all these things. And that's exactly, that's 100% what it is. The Freemasons know about this thousands of years ago. And you see, in fact, these depictions of the Anunnaki holding the pine cones. That's a symbol for the third eye. If you haven't checked out my pineal gland film on YouTube, George, definitely check that one out. We can only see Roy G. Biv. Roy is royalty. GB is Boaz and Jachin. 4 must be the 4, which is the foundation woman, or it could be I-5 or I-sacrifice, or even 1 plus Vav, Wa equals 1 plus 6 equals number. These, you're losing me here, George. 1 plus 6 equals 7, number of completion. Hard to say on that, but the other 5 are clear. Aquarius is the water bearer. Water has memory. Of course it does, because water is the truth. It cannot lie. The water bearer pours out his truth upon all of us eventually. We cannot refuse or deny it. The entire universe could be full of water for all we know. I don't believe any of what they say is out there, although there is really subjective stuff like the time in which is really the human method of measuring change or delta in things. We sense with our nearly useless 5 senses. Anyway, the entire planet could already be not underwater, but within water. The universe is our mother, and maybe Gaia is about giving birth to what we really are. Water just could be her placental fluid. Yeah, I've wondered that. You know, those shots of Story Musgrave and the tether incident and the all kinds of other different shots. These things, you know, they're not craft, they're not UFO, but they just go zipping by, you know, really quickly. And some of them look like they're just swimming in water. I've thought for a long time that space is not what they've told us that it is. It's something else. And the revealing of that, of what it really is going to force explanations of basically everything we've been told is true. He says, by the way, watching Knowing right now with the vampire Nicolas Cage, ha ha ha, he does seem unageable except for receding hairline. And they're talking about solar flares and Gulf accident. Movie was 2009. Yeah, I covered that here on the show before. Yeah, that's all in there. Also, that scene in that movie, man, that was a recurring dream of mine. And after I saw that movie, I never had that dream again. For years, I'd had this dream of being in a car. I look up, I see a plane crashing. It crashes, and I start running and trying to pull people out of it, and people are burned up and screaming. And, you know, I'd never told anybody about that. And there's, you know, he starts looking at stuff, and, you know, when he sees the patterns, you know, he gets that that thing out of the time capsule. That was just very strange, man, because he was looking at the numbers, and I was like, yeah, it felt like me when I was researching stuff and looking at things. And then, to see that part with the airplane crashing and all that stuff, that was verbatim this recurring dream I'd had for a long time, was really very strange to me. But I never had that dream again after I saw that movie. It's a very odd thing. Funny how those who tell the most lies are getting off telling the truth in movies. Like you said, it's not fictional science, but science fictionalized. Brilliant stuff, man. You got the gift like when the Oracle told Neo, I'll buy that for $1. Take care, George. All right, thanks, George. Great emails, as always. I still can't get over the guys. Now I'm addicted. Thanks a lot. Here's one from Zohair in Pakistan. He says, "Hey Josh, the info in this email may not be up your alley, pun intended, but it is interesting enough to be put out there into the ether. We are all aware of the gay priest class and their activities within the church. Gay behavior is also very common in Muslim seminaries, and the less said about the gay priests of Hollywood, the better. The priest class are the keepers of the secrets of the Anunnaki, the gods, so surely there was something hidden in this gay sex thing, as all the priests seem to be indulging in this. It seems too much of a coincidence. I'm amazed by these coincidences that the hole used for gay sex is called the anus. If we just add an apostrophe after the U in anus, the word becomes anus, i.e., meaning something belonging to Anu. Of course, Anu was the ruler of Nibiru when the Anunnaki landed on Earth. Anu, by the way, yeah, it's like Anu with adding a snake sound at the end of it there. Oh, I should have known. Next, you're going to tell me that the New World Order and the Illuminati is made up of reptilian buttfuckers, aren't you? Aren't you? That's where you're going with this, aren't you? Reptilian buttfuckers rule the world. I knew it, man. I've known it forever. God damn it, we can finally prove this. Film at 11. Reptilian buttfuckers rule the world. That's my new film. Coming. Yeah, let's do this proper. Coming in 2012, a Josh Reeves production. Reptilian buttfuckers rule the planet. Coming to some Blu-ray and DVD next year. I knew it. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Templars who excavated Solomon's Temple and got all this stuff from Solomon's Temple, which, was also Anunnaki information and technology. They had, one of their rituals was kissing the anus of the Grand Master. That's where the term kiss my ass comes from. You ever wonder the origins? Kiss my ass. Kiss my grand sugar. But, kiss my ass, that comes from, because that was part of the ritual. And these sick blood rituals and demonic rituals that the Templars did went back to the time of Solomon, which went back also to these Anunnaki as well. So, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to convince me that shape-shifting buttfuckers rule the planet, I mean, I'm sold on that already. Anu, by the way, is also known by the planet called Uranus. This is turning into a septic rectum episode over here now. Referring to the glossary page of 319 of the Book of Enki, so it seems to me that the anus is clearly linked to Anu. Maybe it was something he linked or indulged in. You know what, man? That's good info, dude. I mean, it is funny, but it is good info because it ties right in with the stuff. I've got some information in the Super Right Volume 2 pertaining to Jeff Gannon and Johnny Gosch. Long story short, Johnny Gosch was this kid that was kidnapped. He was allegedly sold into the sex slave ring that happened during the Franklin cover-up and that whole deal. And he grew up to be Jeff Gannon, gay male porn star. He was shipped in the back of the White House for Bush, Bohemian Grove. Bush got him a job at the National Press Club. He got credentials that he couldn't get. I've got mainstream news footage of this. That's going to be in the new film, where they say openly on this news clip There's no way Jeff Gannon could have got those congressional passes that quickly. You had to have known somebody inside. And every time somebody would ask Bush a tough question about the war, he'd go to Gannon, and Gannon would ask him some, retard question. And boom, that would be it. He'd say thank you and go and wouldn't answer anything. It's an absolute fact. The guy was kidnapped by the guy who set up the Temple of Set in the United States. I got to say this. I shouldn't even be fucking telling you this. It's going to be in the movie, but I've got a whole section on this in the movie. There's going to be more info on that. But my point is that yes, I have the tie-in to the priest class and the fact that they're pedophile homosexuals. It's just a fact. I'm not saying that, from because I don't care if you're gay. I don't have a problem with gay people at all. It doesn't bother me. Who cares? But at the same token, you can't deny, or I can't deny, the information and the research that yes, the elite and the police class and the people at the highest levels are homosexual pedophiles. It's just a fact. But they get us and try to divide and conquer us on the gay issue and, hate crimes and all this shit. Meanwhile, all these guys and these Republicans, how many of these have we covered here? And was the one guy that was like the head of some anti-gay right-wing coalition? Gets caught with rentboy.com, put up an ad, says he's looking for an 8-inch perfectly sculpted penis. And then when he gets caught, he says, I had a hurt back. I hired him to carry my luggage around for me all weekend in Acapulco. Let me get this straight. You took a gay male prostitute with a perfectly sculpted 8-inch cock to Acapulco for 3 days, and all he did was carry your bags around? Yeah, I bet he did carry your bag around, buddy. Not in the way you're thinking, though. So, yeah, again, man, don't get me wrong. I'm not homophobic. I don't dislike gay people. My cousin's gay. I have a lot of gay friends. I don't have anything against gay people at all. But let's not confuse the issue here. That's not the issue. The issue at hand is that these guys who, go around acting like they're big, family men are really liking the men behind closed doors. So yeah, man. You're exactly right. These priest class guys are homosexual pedophiles at the very top. There's no other way around it. They absolutely are. It's a fact. He says, P.S. the most traumatic event in. I didn't finish there. He says, seems that the anus is always clearly linked to Anu. Maybe it was something he liked or indulged in. According to the Lost Book of Enki, Alalu bit off Anu's member, so we can assume that certainly Anu would be getting his anus used rather than using the anuses of others. We can therefore conclude, so he got his cock bit off, so the only way he could get pleasure was to get fucked in the ass by somebody else. Makes sense to me. So that's where it all spawns from, huh? That's why our leaders have been homosexual pedophiles. It makes sense to me. So I think that's that's how you can start figuring out who's going to be elected next. We've got 12 Republicans over here vying for the Republican nomination. We have 12 Democrats over here vying for the Democratic nomination. Your challenge, ladies and gentlemen, is to figure out which one of these 24 candidates, 12 on the left, 12 on the right, which one out of these 24 candidates, which two out of these 24 candidates is the biggest homosexual pedophile? Who is it? Is it going to be Rick Perry? Is it going to be Mitt Romney? Is it going to be Sarah Palin? Is it going to be, hey, it's Barack Obama, baby? Who's it going to be? Zohair says, P.S. the most traumatic event in recent human history has been the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I might be losing it, but to me it seems even this event was an orchestrated ritual of the gay priest class. So what exactly happened? We, the human slaves, were shat upon. How, you ask? Hiroshima, consensus reality is that Enola Gay dropped Little Boy. Priest class translation. A lone gay shat on us, a turd named Little Boy. Yeah, I mean, they were all cobblers. Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They were Priest class cocksuckers of the Four Horsemen all the way across the board. Nagasaki, consensus reality is that boxcar dropped Fat Man. Priest class translation, backscar shat on us, a turd named Fat Man. Backscar, of course, being the scar on our backsides, i.e. the anus. These priest class fuckers must be laughing at us every day. There are many such examples of things in plain sight, such as Karl Rove's nickname, Turd Blossom. And yeah, who's the other guy? Brownie. Hey, get Brownie over here. Tell him I need some more Coke. Which the human zombies just refuse to see and are more in denial, and even if these are brought to their attention. Maybe this whole thing is just too fucking crazy to be discussed on radio. But there is certainly something going on here which is not our conscious reality yet. Well, I guess I screwed the pooch on that one, didn't I, Zohair? Sorry. Well, he didn't say not to read on air. He just said, maybe this whole thing's too fucking crazy to be discussed on radio. Too bad, too late. Already did it. Yeah. They're brown boys, dude. I mean, if you are wanting me to try and argue over whether or not the people that run the show are, anal-licking turd burglars, I can't deny it. They are. And they definitely love
to suck Satan's cock.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. See what else we got here tonight. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com. You want to send in an email to get in tonight. We got a shit ton of news. I need to get on with it tonight. Here's one from Andre. He says, hey, Josh, I was listening to you read Tablet 9, I believe, of the Lost Book of Enki, and it talked about the ice cap sliding and creating a flood. Graham Hancock cites the exact incident happening with scientific evidence in one of his 2010 YouTube videos. What amazes me about all of this is how modern science and archaeology keep validating these tablets without even knowing it, Andre. Well, I think that they do know it, and I think that's the whole point. They're validating it because this stuff can't not be validated anymore. But what they're doing is they're offering that up as scientific explanation so that they can just say it's natural phenomenon. Keep the idea that these, tablets are just myths and nothing more. Oh man, that's too funny. Trying to see if I missed any more emails here. I think I got everybody in. Here's one. Hi, Josh. I'm asking a question pertaining to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta as portrayed in the Siegel Right Volume 1. How did Kissinger, Chertoff, and Bloomberg fit into Sovereign Military Order of Malta criteria? How do they fit into the criteria? Kissinger, number one, has been the Rockefeller go-between. The Rockefellers are all Knights of Malta. He's been their step and fetch boy for years. Why do you think he's wanted for war crimes in all these different countries and nobody ever comes and gets him? How come he's never extradited? That's because he can't be. Because when you are a member of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, you are given free rein to do whatever it takes to fulfill your position and your mission, which means you are not subject to any laws of any country anywhere on the earth. You're only sovereign and responsible to the sovereign order, which is based in Malta, which has its own sovereign headquarters. Invading it is an act of war. And this is why they made all of the heads of the newly formed CIA Knights of Malta. Before about 1947, you could not be from America and be Knights of Malta, but right about 47, 48, right about the time of Roswell, we started to see the rise of the national security system and the national security architecture. We saw the formation out of the old OSS, the formation of the CIA, William Bill Donovan, Bill Casey, all these guys. Alan Dulles, all these guys, later connected to the Kennedy assassination. All these guys were Knights of Malta. They were made Knights of Malta by the Vatican so they could carry out the orders of the priest class and execute the Cold War and execute Vietnam and all the plans driving the global system forward and be able to do that and do it under any, justifiable means. Well, we have to do it to fight communism. That was what they used. And boom, what do we see? Here comes the John Birch Society, where every head of the John Birch Society has been Jesuit trained. Next thing you know, everybody in the John Birch Society is calling everybody a communist. Everybody's a commie. Commies living under your bed. Commies here. Commies living there. Jones is doing the same thing now, except now it's New World Order. Oh, there's a New World Order guy living under your bed. Everybody's New World Order. If he doesn't believe in what I believe, if he doesn't believe what Infowars.com believes, then he's with the New World Order. It's a McCarthyism 2.0, folks. And I'm disgusted to see people falling for it again. But it's all being run by this priest class infrastructure, man. So maybe you need to do a little bit more research. Chertoff, Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, are you kidding me? But these guys are big-time Catholics, dude. These are openly admitted things on multiple freely available lists. Wouldn't it be possible that if all three men have extensive ties with said members or the Dulles, which steep friendships to characters like Juan Bill Donovan, it's verifiable? Avery Dulles was a Jesuit cardinal, but unsure of his position within the military order. Speaking about the Jesuits, did you forget to tell people about the fact that St. John Nepomuk was made a Jesuit saint 200-something years after his death? I found research explaining how the character were exploited for counter-reformation purposes. Yeah. But he was still a martyr. The reason he represents the Jesuits, whether or not he was made a Jesuit saint 200 years after his death, they don't make them saints until way after their death. They have to be able to have a criteria for that. But he wasn't made a saint till 200 years after his death. He was still a Jesuit prior to his death. He didn't give up their secrets. This is why Jones didn't mention this in his expose on Bohemian Grove, because then he'd have to get into explain the whole. And it's why he called it Moloch and claimed, it was just a mistake. Nobody's perfect. No, that was intent. He intently covered up the fact that the owl was not Moloch, but Minerva. Again, all roads going back to Rome. And he intently covered up the fact that there was a statue of a Jesuit martyr inside of the Bohemian Grove. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. That's the argument. So I appreciate your email, but that's weak. I'm going to take a break, come back, get into the news for you here tonight. All right, back here with you on the show. Global Reality Late Night Moonbat edition of the broadcast for you here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. TheGlobalReality.com is my website where this broadcast originates from. And again, it's a fundraising week this week. We've got to raise money to pay the bills this week. So please donate and support our work if you can. I have a $600 rate by Saturday, so you can use the donate button, you use the shipping banner there, whatever you want to use, doesn't matter. I had some people suggest I leave it up, but I'm afraid if I don't know, afraid people get confused because somebody makes a donation towards the bills, somebody that wants to make a donation towards the computer might think that we already have that amount of money. I don't know what to do here. Maybe I should put another one up. Maybe I'll just do that. We'll see. I'll make another one. I'll send it to Man Hydra, and I'll see if he can find some way to scrunch that in on the website for us. But there you go, TheGlobalReality.com. Keeps us commercial-free, uncensored, and keep us going, making films, and pushing forward into our research. And I want to get in. I want to be able to make another film, man. It's just up in the air. I'm not going to be able to do it with this current computer I have, but I do. I want to get into. I want my next film to be on the rock wall and get into that whole thing. But just going to have to see what happens. Keep pushing forward with it. Man, oh man, we got a lot of news tonight. I want to jump into all this. Lots of going on with the sun. We had massive coronal ejections, big, huge solar flares, solar storms over the weekend, Friday, Saturday. It's interesting that George had brought up the movie Knowing there. Earlier last week, we talked about 2012, the Roland Emmerich film. Both of those films, a lot of symbolic stuff in there. A lot of hints, I think. More and more I watch those movies, I think they're dropping little hints in those movies about things if we're paying attention. In both those movies, that's what these cataclysms are caused by, is the sun. A lot of interesting stories going on here. The day the world went phut, Earth in the crosshairs of a gigantic solar storm that could blow circuits of anything from satellite TV to the electric grid. Northern lights seen over southern England as a result. Bursts of solar radiation could wreak havoc with communication systems. A sunspot 62,000 miles across, so big it would dwarf the Earth, is releasing gigantic solar flares that could, in theory, wreak havoc with electrical communications, ranging from handheld electronics such as iPhones to sections of the power grid. NASA has detected 2 X-class solar eruptions from 1302, the most extreme possible in the past week. One that occurred on September 24th produced an amazing light show over England last night, but it's far from over as the sunspot isn't yet directly aligned with Earth. NASA experts have said anything electrical can be affected by such activity. Known as active region 1302, it is producing bursts of radiation so intense that spectacular auroras caused by the sun's particles hitting the atmosphere have been seen as far south as Oxfordshire. Astronomer Dr. Ian Griffin, CEO of Science Oxford, tells the Mail Online that active region 1302 is the source of all the auroras seen yesterday and may well be the source of more auroras over the next few nights. So there is massive things going on. A lot of people have speculated that what is supposed to happen in 2012 is actually supposed to happen around, October 28th of this year. And, 3 Days of Darkness in 2012, all that whole thing. That's essentially what we're looking at here is a change in the sun. Now, some people believe that, the sun's going to change and then it's going to in turn cause our bodies to change and we're going to, have 12-strand DNA activation and become light beings. Some people believe we're all going to get wiped out and die. I don't know. But I do find it interesting that as we're moving, closer and closer into the latter part of this year and into the beginning of next year, we're starting to see these very interesting things start happening with the sun. So it's very, very interesting, especially when we see how many of these ancient societies seem to be, obsessed with the sun, but also with Sirius, Radiation hazards are likely to increase for air travelers and spacefarers in coming years due to changes in solar activity, researchers say. This is a totally separate article here. Cosmic rays from deep space and high-energy particles from the sun can be hazardous to astronauts and also can expose airline crews and passengers to radiation, as well as damage spacecraft. You're going to get radiation going in the scanners. You're going to get it while you're flying up there. Solar magnetic fields protect Earth by repelling incoming galactic cosmic rays, but the period of high solar magnetic activity known as the grand solar maximum that persisted throughout the space age now appears to be coming to an end, and solar particle levels might start rising at the same time. Cosmic rays constantly bombard the Earth from deep space, but solar activity is dependent on the sun's regular weather cycle. The sun is currently approaching the peak of its current 11-year cycle called the solar cycle 24. That peak will occur in 2013. When powerful sunstorms are aimed directly at Earth, they can pose a serious threat to astronauts in orbiting spacecraft, damage satellites, interfere with communication systems, and impact power plants and other infrastructure on Earth. I mean, this also, it seems very interesting to me that, what does this mean for us? Well, this means our communications will be shut down. Well, this means we can't have any humans in space. Am I the only one that kind of feels like this sounds like the perfect, opportunity for some invading force, whether real or promulgated, who knows? but some, alleged extraterrestrial force, we'd be ripe for the picking, wouldn't we? We couldn't send any troops into space to fight. We couldn't really communicate. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe that at certain periods of history, certain periods the Earth is that this happens with these solar flares and things. And at certain times, maybe that's, when these extraterrestrials like to come down in times like this one, basically we're defenseless. We're helpless. I don't know. But it's funny they're doing this, and of course they're selling us on this whole bullshit lie of global warming and climate change. Yes, all those things are real, but they're happening as a result of this sun activity that they're giving us very limited information on. Of course, that's alluded to in both of those movies, Knowing with Nicolas Cage and Roland Emmerich 2012 movie. Both of those, it both have to do with the sun, and in both cases, in both movies, the scientists are being, the government and people, they're not telling anybody. And then the Knowing, they don't tell anybody until the world's about to end in a matter of hours. But that's what this whole thing of climate change has been. Carbon tax and increasing the amount of fuel and all this stuff has been a result for us to be able to fund their mitigation technology and their mitigation programs to try and mitigate the effects of the sun on the Earth so they can continue their operations business as usual. That's their only concern. Now, this was published from the CIA, our very own Central Intelligence Agency, CIA.gov. On September 25th, 2009, CIA opened Center on Climate Change and National Security. The Central Intelligence Agency is launching the Center on Climate Change and National Security as the focal point for its work on the subject. The center is a small unit led by senior specialists from the Directorate of Intelligence and the Directorate of Science and Technology. Its charter is not the science of climate change, but the national security impact of phenomenon such as desertification, rising sea levels, population shifts, and heightened competition for natural resources. Now, see, this is interesting. Because now anything that pertains to information about our climate and what it's doing and the real truth of it, since 2009, can now be declared a national security issue, which means they don't have to tell you and I or anybody else jack shit about it. Now, in my mind, in my experience, from my research and things I've looked at through the years, the only reason that they would merge that with the Central Intelligence Agency is because they want to keep a lid on it. They want to control the flow of information about the topic of climate, of the sun, and the rest of this. And I think those two movies, Knowing in 2012, I think those are good examples of, because, man, there are people behind the scenes who are throwing this out there. It's a sick joke with these guys. I mean, I'm not too unconvinced that everything there is to know about what these people are going to do is out there somewhere in media or in a movie or in a book or in a film or something, because that's the way they do it. It's like this sick morality code with them where, they're going to do this and they're going to kill a bunch of people, but they like to drop little hints. And then, that way it's like, well, if, they didn't pick up on the hints, we warned them. That's their fault, not ours. It's like a conscious thing for them. They sleep better at night, knowing that, had we been looking and known what to look for, we would have known they were going to pull off Kennedy or Waco or 9/11 or Ruby Ridge or Waco or whatever it may be. Who knows? Any of these operations. But I mean, I think there's no question that with what the climate is now doing and what the possibilities are for their power structure, they figured out what they're trying to do is figure out a way to survive this without having to give up their control and their power structure. And the problem they're running into is that if all of a sudden everybody has free energy and unlimited amounts of food and basically no worries on the planet anymore, then there's nothing to compete for. Then, what's the fun in that? They're not going to have that. So that's what all this stuff is about. It's about being able to continue their power structure and their control indefinitely. And this is unbelievable stuff. Let's see what else we have here in the news tonight. I want to mention this. I mentioned this. I should have mentioned this last week, and I didn't. Those of you who have been listening to the show for a while remember back in 2009, I had talked about this on the show. And at that time, I had not seen anybody else discussing this. There was like one article in I think in a magazine from Saudi Arabia or something, and that was pretty much it. And I talked about these on my show, and my friend Delphi and I had been doing some research on these, and I still have tons of screenshots of this stuff. There are these lines out in the desert in the middle of Saudi Arabia, and I've pulled hundreds of images off of Google Earth, and boy, here it is. It's now in the news. 2 years after I was researching this, and not a nary a person was talking about it. I always let you know I'm always ahead of the curve on my research, folks. That's not bragging. That's not ego. That's just a fact. Peru's Nazca lines, the mysterious geoglyphs etched into the desert centuries ago by indigenous groups, are world famous, and now thousands of similar patterns have been found in the Middle East. Act like they've just now been found. Yeah, I can show you, man. I can show you the upload data where shows where I uploaded the pictures of these 2 years ago, 2009. They're saying they've just now been discovered. Okay, well then how did I know that? I don't get any credit for discovering them, or Delphi doesn't get any credit for discovering them. I mean, my God, we've known about them before then. Why are they acting like this is new? Satellite aerial photography has revealed mysterious stone wheels that are more numerous and older than the Nazca lines in countries such as Syria, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. The structures are thought to date back to 2,000 years, but why they were built is baffling archaeologists and historians. In Jordan alone, we've got a stone-built structure that are far more numerous than the Nazca lines, far more extensive in the area that they cover, and far older. David Kennedy, a professor of classics and ancient history at the University of Western Australia, told Live Science. He added people had probably walked over them, walked past them for centuries, millennia, without having any clear idea what the shape was. The local Bedouin and nomadic people found in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Libya, Egypt, and Israel call them the works of the old men. They are often found on lava fields, but don't fall into any pattern, according to Kennedy, whose research into them will be published in an up-and-coming issue of the Journal of Archaeological Science. He explains that they come in a huge variety of forms, some being kites, structures that are funneled animals, some being seemingly random, meandering lines of stone, and others being rectangular. None are believed to be aligned with the stars, which is added to the mystery surrounding their purpose. They were actually first discovered in 1927 by an RAF pilot called Lieutenant Percy Madeline, but it wasn't until Professor Kennedy and his team began studying aerial and Google Earth photographs that the true extent was revealed. A final count has yet to be completed, but Kennedy is certain they run into the thousands. Yeah, they're strange. Well, one thing I discovered that they don't talk about here is that they run along creek beds. They run along water sources of water. Pretty fucking important commodity in the middle of the goddamn desert, don't you think? And to me, they appear to be markers of some kind. And also, I think also doubled as villages or habitat zones. There's one that definitely is a runway. I have a picture of it that I got off of Google Earth. Yeah, it's totally a runway. You can tell that's what it is. That's interesting stuff, though. I wanted to mention that. This is a bizarre article here. I don't know if you guys heard about this. This came out last week. I don't know quite what to think about this, but it's one of those articles where I hate to let it go down the memory hole. I'd like to get everybody to save this if you haven't heard about this article. If you have already, I'm sorry, but I had to mention it. It just seems like one of those things where, maybe we don't have all the context for why this might be important, but this just smells fishy to me. Feds probe possible Arabic-type markings on Southwest airline jets. Federal agencies were working with Southwest Airlines on Thursday to determine who has been vandalizing their aircraft with mysterious markings. Southwest has been in the news a lot lately. We had Billy Joe Armstrong, remember a couple weeks ago, got kicked off the plane for sagging his ass. Isn't he like 50? Pull your pants up, dude. I mean, when you get senior citizen status, it's not, you can't be sagging anymore. Nobody wants to see your Depends, Billy Joe. So he had that on Southwest, and he had, here we have possible Arabic markings found on Southwest jets, and then we had this lesbian get kicked off for giving, her girlfriend a kiss or something. All on Southwest. That's very interesting. KNX 1070 investigative reporter Charles Feldman has learned that since February, several Southwest jets have been vandalized with mysterious writings that show up on the underbelly of their 737 passenger aircraft. The writings, which some have interpreted as being either Arabic or Arabic-type symbols, appear to have been done with a chemical process that reveals the text once an auxiliary power unit is turned on and heats up the outside skin of the aircraft. Now, that's mind-boggling. Why would it do that? So you can't see these symbols until you turn on an auxiliary power unit, which heats up the skin of the aircraft. Then you can see the markings. That's very odd. It makes you, wonder, are these being marked for some, coming 9/11 Part 2 type event? Muslims with box cutters, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. While it remains unclear how many of the aircraft are involved, the trend has repeatedly increased in recent weeks. Southwest Airlines has ordered its employees not to discuss the matter with the media, Feldman said. In a statement to KNX 1070, Southwest said it is working with authorities to find those responsible for what the company called vandalism. Look, no. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is not random vandalism. Give me a fucking break here. Are vandals going to go through the process of using a type of paint to paint symbols that can only be seen once the plane is heated up to a certain temperature, once it's flying and in the air? Something shady is going on with this. I don't quite know what, but it's very interesting nonetheless. Here's another strange one. The vanishing passengers. It's a mystery as bizarre as it is disturbing. Why have 165 people gone missing from cruise ships in recent years? On the evening of April 6th this year, John Halford packed his suitcase and left it outside the door of his cabin on the cruise liner Thompson Spirit. It was the last day of a week-long Egyptian cruise, and the ship was due to dock at Sharm el-Sheikh in the morning. Mr. Halford, 63, texted his wife, Ruth, who was at the home in Britain, to say that he would see her at the airport the next day. Then went off to dinner. At about 12:30 a.m., he was seen by other passengers drinking cocktails in an upper deck bar. He then vanished. He's drunk and fell off the side. I don't know. Mrs. Halford, who has 3 children, Lucy, Sophie, and Connor, learned of her husband's disappearance as she was getting ready to drive to the airport to collect him. The phone rang. It was the Thompsons' desk at the airport in Egypt. She said, I was told the plane was in the air, but my husband was not on it. He'd gone missing from the ship. He could have knocked me over sideways. It made no sense. The children and I were shell-shocked. At first, I thought he must have somehow gone ashore without anyone realizing, but it would have been impossible because there are various checkpoints when you disembark. He simply disappeared. Today, more than 5 months on, Mr. Halford, a bookseller from Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire, remains missing, his fate unknown. His fate is far from unique. Over the past few years, there have been an alarming number of unexplained and unsolved disappearances on board cruise liners. According to the U.S.-based International Cruise Victims Association, 165 people have gone missing at sea since 1995, and at least 13 this year alone, many of them from vessels popular with British holidaymakers. Cruise ship holidays are enormously popular, according to the Passenger Shipping Association. 1.7 million cruises will be taken in Britain this year alone, but what is happening to all these passengers who simply vanish while at sea, never to be seen again? Are they the victims of a sinister crime wave? Have they had a mishap at sea or fallen overboard? or perhaps chosen to take their own lives. The sad fact is that in many cases, no one knows. And for the families and friends that they leave behind, that only compounds the heartache. Loved ones such as Ruth Halford and her children who remain in limbo, bereft, baffled, and unable to grieve. John had been really looking forward to this cruise. He once worked in Libya and was intrigued by North Africa. He was fascinated by ancient Egyptian culture and wanted to see the pyramids. Well, maybe he got abducted. Maybe these, there you go. Maybe he got abducted. Maybe they took his ass up in the mothership, Wild stuff, though. Who knows? Maybe they're getting abducted by aliens taken to Uranus. I don't know. First Irish case of death by spontaneous human combustion from the BBC. A man who burned to death in his home died as a result of spontaneous combustion. An Irish coroner has ruled. West Galway coroner Dr. Ciaran McLaughlin said that it was the first time in 25 years of investigating deaths that he had recorded such a verdict. Michael Faraday, 76, died in his home in Galway on December 22, 2010. Deaths attributed by some to spontaneous combustion occur when a living human body is burned without an apparent external source of ignition. Self-immolation. Typically, police or fire investigators find burned corpses, but no burned furniture. An inquest in Galway on Thursday heard how investigators had been baffled as to the cause of Mr. Flaherty's death at his home at Clairview Park, Ballybane. Forensic experts found that a fire in the fireplace of the sitting room where the badly burnt body was found had not been the cause of the blaze that killed Mr. Faraday. The court was told that no trace of accelerant had been found, and there was nothing to suggest foul play. The court heard Mr. Faraday had been found lying on his back with his head closest to an open fireplace. The fire had been confined to the sitting room. The only damage was to the body, which was totally burnt. The ceiling above him and the floor underneath him. Dr. McLaughlin said that he had consulted medical textbooks and carried out other research in an attempt to find an explanation. It is one of those interesting things. Some people believe that this is some sort of repressed self-destruct mode in our genetic code, where when our bodies reach a certain age and they know they're coming close to death and they die of natural causes, that they self-immolate, but this is suppressed in our genetic code, and in some people it's very rarely comes out. I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon, though. This is just too funny right here. This is one of those articles I saw. I had to crack up. This poor guy, it's bad enough that the economy's the way it is. It's bad enough that jobs, all this poor guy, the only job this poor guy can get is wearing a fucking ice cream cone suit. And this guy's wearing an ice cream cone suit and out in the hot ass sun in the middle of a street. I'll drop a picture of this guy. The only job this guy can get is standing there with an ice cream sign in the hot ass sun, waving people on, and guess what happens to him? Bunch of yahoos think that his ice cream suit is a fucking KKK outfit. Once and for all, people, it's an ice cream cone. The owners of an ice cream family corner and sandwich shop at the busy intersection of South Pine Avenue and Southwest 17th Street in Ocola heard through word of mouth that potential customers have steered clear of the shop to avoid the character. They say that their 2-month-old business is getting creamed because passersby have mistaken their white hooded ice cream cone mascot for a KKK protester. They think this poor guy's like, fuck, man, I'm going to lose my job because nobody's coming to this goddamn ice cream place. It's the only job I could get, wearing that goddamn ice cream cone suit. And nobody will fucking come get any ice cream, and I'm going to lose my fucking job because everybody thinks I'm in the KKK. This is bullshit. Man, that is just too fucking funny right there. Look at that guy. Christ. I mean, you have some dignity on the poor guy. It's not bad enough he has to go out there and dress up like a goddamn ice cream cone, but fuck. They think you're going to go get a, frozen hate bar with a side of, Jew cream or something. I don't know. Shit. Unbelievable. Iran says they could deploy the Navy near the U.S. Uh-oh. Dun, 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 dun. You knew that was coming. Pretty soon we'll be having our pretext for why we need to bomb the fuck out of those dirty Arabbers, as they call them. That's coming. CIA and Pentagon fight to keep Osama bin Laden death photos a secret, right? Yeah. Can't allow to see any of those. No evidence. No birth certificates, no Osama death photos. You don't get to see anything. Fuck you. We're the government. We rule. You're a slave. I didn't mention earlier, though, man, this whole Occupy the Fed thing. I got sidetracked. I was talking about Jones and his bullhorn thing. We tried going through all the proper channels to get a bullhorn permit to have in Dealey Plaza for 9/11 Truth protests. And the city of Dallas does not offer a permit for any bullhorn activity at all. They don't allow them for any reason to anybody. And this was the moment I was talking about when I knew Alex Jones was a fraud. And a couple years ago, they had one of those in the Fed things here in Dallas, and Jonesy showed up. It's on a Sunday. Nobody was there. Nobody's in the building. And there's video of this. You can see it. Jonesy walks up, and he starts bullhorning the building, and there's Dallas cops right there in full view, leaning on their cars, watching him. And, he's not getting arrested or anything. So if me or anybody else in the city of Dallas wants to, use a bullhorn in Dallas, even though we live here and we're tax-paying citizens and everything else, we can't do that. And if we do, they'll fine us or take us to jail. But Alex Jones gets to walk right up and use his bullhorn and nobody says anything to him. Now that to me right there was when I knew the guy was a fucking plant. But anyway, they're going to be having one of these at the Federal Reserve, one of these Occupy the Wall Street things. They're going to be having one here in Dallas October 6th. I'm sure Jonesy will probably be there. But I'm going to go down there and take my camera down there and just go around and ask people if they know about the Council for National Policy, they know about the priest class, they know about Jesuits, do they know about the John Birch Society, do they know that there's, we're fighting over the symptom when we should be going after the cause of the disease, not the symptoms. And the Federal Reserve and Wall Street and all these are just symptoms of the greater power structure. But everybody's being told the bankers and Goldman Sachs runs the world and everything else, and it's just based on a false premise. It's not giving people the whole picture. This is a manufactured protest event. I'm advising everybody I know to steer clear of it unless you're going for documentation purposes. But they're trying to draw people out. I want to go and just document it, see what goes down. Get some footage, talk to people, ask them what they know. Try to tell people that there's more to this than just the banksters. And I want to encourage all you, if where you live, if there are events for these, Occupy the Fed thing, hey, go burn some copies of The Secret Right Volume 1. You can download them off the internet and burn them all you want, or you can buy them from me. Either way, but you can burn them for free and go out to these, Occupy Wall Street things and hand out some flyers and hand out some DVDs and tell people there's more to this than just the bankers. You probably all got cell phones and iPads and digital camcorders and laptops and bank accounts and all this shit. But you're out here screaming at empty buildings, Occupy the Wall Street. How about quit being a minion to the power structure? How about quit buying what they sell you? No, can't do that. This revolution brought to you by the iPad. This installment of the revolution brought to you by the new iPhone 5. Even shittier than the last one. Oh, did you guys hear that OnStar, GM, was planning on tracking all of the people who decided not to have their tracking box in their car anymore. And now they've had to back off that. You believe the audacity of these guys? Yeah, because people figured out that, when you put one of those OnStar systems in your car, you're tracked everywhere you go in real time. And that information can be acquired by anybody. And so OnStar said, okay, fuck it. Well, if you cancel it, we're going to track you anyway. How about that? Publicly said that, and people got, with good reason, got in an uproar about it. Thank goodness. So they backed off of that. File this under random things politicians say. Speaking to a Cary Rotary Club today, North Carolina Governor Bev Perdue suggested suspending congressional elections for 2 years so that Congress can focus on economic recovery and not the next elections. So already we're hearing talk of that. The economy's too fucked. We need to suspend the election. They tried to do that under Bush. Obama's got to be infinite dictator now because we've got to figure out this before we can have any election. And then, it's going to take us 50 years to figure out what Bush fucked up. So, la-di-da. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Oh, the Dead Sea Scrolls are now online. You can now peruse every inch of the Dead Sea Scrolls. For those of you that are into that kind of thing. Well, let's see. Oh, Diebold voting machines can now be hacked by remote control. Yeah, definitely look for that coming up in the next elections. There's going to be 2000 elections all over again. You're going to see vote rigging, and you're going to see a rigged stage election coming up. There's going to be fireworks, that's for sure. And now this guy, this you guys heard about this stuff, this BBC guy, some trader saying the collapse is coming and Goldman Sachs rules the world. And nobody can really find out who this guy works for, if he's even a real guy or not. So the whole thing seems staged. It's unbelievable. Hallmark is now selling unemployment sympathy cards. Well, that's really what somebody who lost their job or is unemployed needs. And then a Hallmark card that says, sorry about your bad luck. Not having a job and having any money sucks. Sorry. Here's a card. An unemployment sympathy card. I mean, Hallmark probably sells a card for, dick rot. Your dick fell off. I'm sorry, your dick fell off. Here's a nice Hallmark card. How about sending them a check, If you weren't already pissed off and depressed enough about the economy, here's a sympathy card from Hallmark. We're sorry that your job died. We hope in this time of bereavement you will take solace in knowing that someone cared enough about your unemployment to send you a card from Hallmark that costs $3.50, and God damn it, that's a lot of money in this economy. Know what I'm saying? Jeez Louise. Man, oh man, oh man. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com is my email address. We're going to be getting into some more reading here real soon on the show. We're going to be getting into some of that tomorrow. We're going to be getting into more reading of more ancient texts. We're going to be getting into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. We're going to be getting into the Book of Enoch. Lots more stuff. I can't wait to be getting into all these. I'm just going to go through everything, man. Fuck it. I'm going to go through whatever texts and whatever things I can get my hands on, and we're going to read them here on air over the coming months and weeks and years, and we're just going to, put all of this out there. Every time I've done that, it's been a big thing, a big learning experience for me and for you, the audience, and we've had big responses to all those that we've done. Big response to the Bramley one we did, big responses to Lost Book of Enki, Finding of the Third Eye. We've also done a bunch of Manly P. Hall stuff. Definitely going to be doing that more in the future. Again, please donate at the website, theglobalreality.com. Help us reach our goal. That's our bills are coming up due this Saturday, and if you want to help us out on the other fundraiser, you can do that as well. Theglobalreality.com. My name's Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. And we will see you tomorrow on the broadcast. You guys have a great night, and take it easy. We'll see you next time. Can't find my outro music. Stuff gets wonky after you haven't used it in a few days sometimes. Where did it go? I know it's in here somewhere. All right, folks, take it easy.